Okay, it looks like we have Team 4 in place on the stage. Team 4 is an academic team with Documents LLC. I will turn it over to Team 4 to present for 15 minutes. And again, I will let you know via chat when you're at the 5-minute mark, 8-minute mark, and then I'll jump in at 10 minutes to let you know that you have 5 minutes left for questions. Take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Albert. My name is Linda Salisbury. I'm from Boston College, and I am here to represent the crew. First, I want to thank the CFPB and the TechSprint team for hosting us, as well as the panelists today. I especially want to thank my teammates who've been awesome to work with this week: Simon Blanchard from Georgetown University, Avni Shah from the University of Toronto, and George Baker from Documents. What motivates us as a team is consumer education and reducing consumer vulnerability, either through the research that we do as academics or products that make the loan process more understandable and accessible for all consumers, such as what George does in his work. So we'll take that perspective as we work through our demonstration today. Our guiding principles have been one of consumer protection, so we use the 3 goals of the adverse action notice as our guiding principles. We always came back to these every time this week. We also had a guiding principle where we wanted to come up with a solution that would be implementable with existing technology, as well as any future innovations in technology that would further improve the disclosure notices. So our focus is going to be on designing the information display. We won't be talking about technology or specific technology innovations. None of us are data scientists. We're consumer researchers, and George is a practitioner. So our aims are going to be improving attention to information, engagement with information, comprehension for consumers, and educating them, and helping to provide corrective actions for consumers to increase the chances that they'll be able to qualify for credit in the future. So I'll motivate that a little bit, demonstrate what we have to do, and talk about how it might be tested. We are going to use sample form number 2 that was given to us earlier in the week as our frame for demonstrating this. And we're also going to look at it within the context of a mortgage product, but all of our ideas are easily transferable to any kind of credit product. So other teams have talked about shortfalls with existing paper-based products, but prior research has shown that a majority of folks don't open what comes to them in the mail. There's a lot of inconsistency and heterogeneity about consumer experiences as we interact with lenders, so they're not always getting consistent feedback and understanding of the process. The current forms lack a visual simplicity and don't engage consumers as much as they could. And they create a lot of friction points, preventing consumers from taking action for the future that might help them improve things like their creditworthiness and understanding of the credit process. The other thing that is important to us is that an adverse action notice is a rejection. And research has shown that rejection can be very demotivating. What can help motivate people to take corrective action is feedback that's more specific, more detailed. Positive information can increase motivation for corrective action, something that we think could be added to the adverse action notices. The other thing is that research has shown that just-in-time educational tools can be most impactful for consumer literacy and improved decision-making. And there's a lack of goal-directed steps in the current notice form that we believe can be added to it by taking advantage of technology. So our solution is a redesign of the adverse action notification, which we'll demonstrate, that takes advantage of interactivity, multimedia, friendly across devices and operating systems, much more accessible from anywhere. We also believe it will help deliver multilingual disclosures, visually appealing to increase attention and engagement, easier to understand for consumers, more transparency. We're going to advocate for including what we'll call positive reasons or positive factors in folks' credit applications, as well as more detail in the feedback that they get. And finally, personalized but also standardized educational tools and action guides for consumers. And we see an important role here that the CFPB could take on to use their resources to enable standardized tools and action guides for consumers. In terms of delivery channels, the picture you have here is two versions of our demonstration. On the left is what the form might look like in a lender-produced digital notice. So in this one, excuse me, this would be a delivery mechanism whereby the form is produced by the lender in a secure digital format and sent to the lender, or sent from the lender to the consumer. On the right, we have what might look like a more web-based app, which would be a CFPB provided interactive digital template that lenders could incorporate in their current systems with varying degrees of complexity. I'm going to focus my time on the left in the lender-produced digital notice, which is a solution we would like to walk through with you. So this is what the lender-produced digital notice might look like. And I've got it in two pieces here, but this would be one long flow on a screen to a consumer. What you'll notice up towards the right is where they might select what language they'd like to view the form in. So for example, if I speak Spanish as my first language, I'd rather view it in Spanish, then we could produce it in Spanish as well. And then I'll just walk through a few elements of it now. So for example, here the reasons for the adverse notice are given, but also not only the reasons for denial, but the reasons, the factors that were considered, but did not contribute to denial. So consumers are getting both positive and negative feedback. Down here, when reasons for denial are listed, giving the consumer more detail about their own specific credit history rather than just a generic label. Also, you'll notice little question marks on there. Those are meant to indicate points where a consumer could click and learn what those terms mean. Here we have next to that is this icon here, which could be a video. So this might be a video that they click to learn more about what impacts their credit score, understanding it better, what causes deficiencies, and steps they could take for corrective action. Off to the right, you see not only are consumers given the score, their own credit score, but the score that might be a cutoff or that they did not reach, the 700 perhaps they didn't reach, as well as a visual explaining to them the range of possible scores and where they fall in that range. Below this is the section of the notice which describes where the credit report came from, a number of different icons that consumers can click on to learn more about credit reports. Also, there's a couple of things here. The icon, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but this is a personalized icon where potentially in this situation, a consumer could click on review and analyze your credit report, and that would bring them to, that would ask them for the consent for the lender to share their credit report with the CFPB, who could have some kind of capability to analyze that for them and provide suggestive corrective actions for their credit score. Information on how to dispute what's in there if they uncover inaccuracies. So this is just sort of a quick view of what would be in that report. Okay. If it were to be in an integrated lender system interacting with the CFPB template, This is just an example of what it might look like, and you can see some of the information I just went over in the other one, just to give you a quick visual of that. So we also just want to mention how you might test this, maybe a two-phase research design with qualitative research followed by quantitative, using focus groups and one-on-one interviews to understand consumers' experience with the current notice, and then doing iterative process of developing proposed forms, doing some user experience testing, and then going into quantitative research on a much larger scale with the lender, at least 10,000 consumers in a large-scale randomized controlled trial type design.
We're at 10 minutes with one question.
And then finally, I'll just leave our benefits there, and then our team can take questions.